Recently, the Journal of Experimental Psychology published a study by Jeff Gallick, a behavioral scientist at Carnegie Mellon. Now, he explored a subject matter that I think we've all run into and we've all had firsthand experience with. Why is it that people, in this case specifically our clients, exaggerate the level of difficulty, the magnitude of failures, and the ensuing suffering that they had to go through in their past? What's the deal with that? Because, I don't know, I find that annoying. Maybe you do. But what they're doing is not trying to be annoying, obviously. Who wants to be annoying? Annoying people don't really realize that they're annoying, which is what makes them so annoying. What they're actually trying to do subconsciously is employ a defense mechanism that by expanding the magnitude in their mind of past failures and the pain of those failures, by contrast, what they're trying to mitigate the suffering that they believe they're likely to repeat in the future. So, very interesting. What I was thinking about is what if, because I've used this technique and I found it very effective, and my clients have found it effective, more importantly, we get our clients to imagine on paper the worst case scenario. Because if their fear is rooted in the future, let's get it out there straight away and prepare ourselves for whatever they think might happen, because whatever we can perceive in our mind is usually far more terrifying than what we'll experience in all probability in actuality. So get them to write down the worst case scenario in the future. If they fail on their exercise program, what's the worst thing that can happen? And don't hold back. Give everything you got. Use your imagination. Let it run wild. Oh my God, well, if I fail on exercise again, I'll be so depressed and feel like such a failure that I'll eat twice as much as I did before, and therefore I'll be twice as fat, and my spouse, nobody wants to be married to a failure, so they're going to leave me, and then I'll start drinking because I'll be even more depressed, and then I'm likely to lose my job due to alcoholism and rot my brain, and so basically I'll be fat, stupid, alone, and broke. And you know what? Nobody can imagine a scenario worse than being fat, stupid, broken, alone. There's nothing worse out there than being fat, stupid, broken, alone. Unless, of course, you are ugly. Then that's really, really bad. But seriously, get them to imagine the worst case scenario on paper. And then a couple of questions I would have is, has this happened in the past? And if the answer is no, I want to know from my client, what's the evidence then to support that this is likely to happen in the future? If the answer is yes, I have been, left by my spouse, I lost my job, spiraled into emotional catastrophe over a past exercise experience, okay, great, well then, what's the likelihood that this is going to happen in the future percentage-wise? Is it an absolute? Is it a possibility? And if it's a possibility, let's say 50-50, those are not really good odds when you're dealing with such massive consequences. What else is likely to happen on the far side of this? And what if we focused on that? Why do we choose to focus on the pain? If all things are likely, what's a strategy we can employ to minimize the chances of the worst thing happening and optimize the chances of the best thing happening? And finally, what I would say is, if you are starting to go down a path where we're leading to the worst case scenario, how would you know? What would be some of the signs, and what are some of the things we can do to try and prevent that? Now, the bottom line is, here's the reality. I know it, you know it, and I think deep down inside our clients know it. If we're going to accomplish anything, is it scary? Yes. It's going to require risk. It's going to take effort. It's going to take time. It's going to take a level of discipline. But more important than all of those things, it's going to take perspective. And if we can help identify what people do and why they're doing it, in this case, according to the research out of Carnegie Mellon, because they're trying to brace themselves for the worst case scenario, let's get that worst case scenario out there and deal with it like adults in advance. And then, once we get it out there, most likely, we're going to realize it's not nearly as precarious as our imagination would lead us to believe. And whatever parts of it does cause us a level of anxiety, well, what's the probability that this is going to happen? And how do we engage in not just crisis anticipation, but lay the groundwork to put ourselves on the side of the angels in terms of succeeding rather than failing, because we are, after all, in the success and change business, are we not?